afternoon. My name is Mark Barnett. I represent Marcus Smart with co-counsel Michelle Marine. I would first like to thank you for participating in our justice system. It's an honor and a privilege to do that, and we all take pride in it. And you notice I brought notes. I like to have notes. It helps me remember things, and as the judge told you, you're allowed to take notes too. You can take notes if you'd like, and so forgive me if I look down every once in a while. So we all have a job to do here. All of us, the jury, the government, the lawyers, we all have a responsibility, but you have the biggest responsibility. You sit in judgment of another human being. That is a huge responsibility, and so guard it well. Marcus Smart is not guilty of murdering FBG Duck on August 4th, 2020, in aid of racketeering. The government has the burden of proof. You've heard this so many times. You've heard it since you've arrived here. And I want to implore you that sometimes what happens is if you hear something over and over again, you tend to give it less significance. But don't let that happen. You guard that. That is your responsibility. That is the law. Now, you've heard that the indictment or charge is not evidence. The judge told you that. And you've heard that. And what does that mean, though, that the indictment is not evidence? Well, let's put it this way. None of you have been indicted in this case. You haven't been indicted in this, and I haven't. And what is the purpose of that? At this moment, you are presumed innocent of everything. You are innocent people, and so are the defendants. The piece of paper that charges them doesn't change that. The fact that they're sitting across from you doesn't change that. Now, what I mean by that is switch it around. Let's say they were judging you. What would you want? What you ask of them? Fair trial, no bias, no prejudice. Presumptions that just because you were sitting there that you did something. That's what the justice system is about. You know, we all come from different places, different neighborhoods. We were brought up differently. We have different backgrounds, but there's one thing we all have in common in this courtroom, all of us. We're all human beings, and in this country, human beings get a fair trial. So don't forget that as we go through this case and as you hear evidence. Now, you know the United States is at this table, but it's not just at this table. The United States of America is right there. It's right there. It's the people of the United States, the people. So keep it in mind. We're all in this together. This is a system of justice that we are all in together, and they are included in that. And just because they happen to be sitting there doesn't change it. It's all of us. It's all of us. So the piece of paper that contains the charges doesn't change that. It does not change that. And the fact that the defendants are sitting where they are doesn't change that either. So Judge Packold told you that the indictment charges Marcus Smart with murdering Carlton Weekly, FBG Duck, on August 4th, 2020, in aid of racketeering. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that. What does that mean, and what is the burden on the government? They have to prove that Marcus Smart, as all the defendants separately has to be considered, murdered FBG Duck on August 4th, 2020. No other murder. He's not charged with any other murder. You might hear about a lot of murders, but he's not charged with any other murders. That's the murder he's charged with. That's the murder you have to consider. And you have to consider him separately, as all the defendants have to be considered separately. He doesn't have to prove anything. You heard that. You know that. He doesn't even have to explain anything. The government has to explain. There might be times during this trial when you're going to say, "What? Something is missing here. I don't get this." Well, I'll tell you what is not evidence in this case. What I say right now is not evidence in this case. Anything that comes out of my mouth, not evidence. What Judge Packold says is not evidence. What the government lawyers say is not evidence. That is not evidence. So our opening statements, the government, ours, mine, the rest, is not evidence at all. The evidence comes during the trial. And the government has to prove each element of the charge of the indictment, and the judge will instruct you what those are. I'm not going to get into what the law is. That's for the judge to tell you. It's not my place to tell you what the law is. But I will tell you that you will get that. And the burden is every element has to be proved beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond they're presumed innocent. You promised, you swore you were going to do that. Now, I will briefly discuss what you won't hear. I'm not going to explain anything about what's in or not in a video, or anything about the evidence of the case. But I'm going to tell you what you're not going to hear, because that I can do. Well, you're not going to hear about any cell phones or locations or any way that they can pinpoint any part or any at all about where Marcus Smart was on August 4th. You're going to hear an expert witness talk about that. You're not going to hear his name. Nothing. You won't hear his name mentioned in that testimony. You'll note you won't hear any statements by Marcus Smart. None. No statements from Marcus Smart regarding this case or the murder on August 4th. The government will introduce text messages, phone calls, statements of various individuals. You will not hear his name mentioned. You listen. And any statements, phone calls, nothing, text messages, nothing. There will be no forensic evidence, no DNA, no fingerprints, no other physical evidence directly putting Marcus Smart at Oak Street during the shooting of FBG Duck. None. Listen. Don't take my word for it. Listen. The government will introduce videos. There will be a video of the actual shooting. There will be a video of the actual shooting. You'll get to see it. No one has identified Marcus Smart from the videos on Oak Street as being one of the shooters. No one. There were a lot of people present at the time of the shootings. No one, not a person, has indicated or identified Marcus Smart as being present at the scene of the shooting. You'll see other videos. You'll hear witnesses and esteemed counsel have kind of reviewed what type of witnesses you're going to hear. You make up your own mind. Listen to it. Watch the video. I'm not going to tell you what I think. You make up your own mind. You watch the video with your own eyes. You determine what's in those videos. And you evaluate the testimony of the people making identification from those videos. You do it. I'm not going to speak about it. One thing I will say, though, it is for you to determine what you see. I can't tell you what you see. No one can tell you what you see in a video. That's for you to decide. That's for you to determine. So you're going to hear some other evidence. You're going to hear Marcus Smart was a rapper. His name was Muwop. He was a drill rapper, and he had jewelry, and he had tattoos. Okay? You'll hear about it. You'll probably hear some of his rapping. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But the judge will instruct you of the meaning with how to consider that evidence, not me. The judge will instruct you on that. So prior to being selected, I remember very well, and I know you probably remember too, you were asked questions. And sometimes maybe you didn't like the questions we were asking you or the way we asked. But we had to make a determination. We wanted to get a fair and impartial jury, and that's the way the system works. We had to do that. And I think we've succeeded. No question in my mind we've succeeded. I know you're going to give it your best shot. I know you're going to be fair. I can feel it. I'm not even going to ask you to do it. You will do it. So you were asked, is there anything about the fact that you may hear about drill rap music, performers, lyrics, and videos that would make it difficult for you to be fair and impartial? You remember that? You all said no. Nothing could influence me. I can be fair and impartial. Then you were asked, is there anything that might affect your ability to fairly evaluate the evidence? Anything that would stop you from doing that? What did you all say? No, that's why you're sitting here. We believed you. So listen carefully. Pay close attention. You will see from this evidence, there is nothing that puts Marcus Smart in any way, shape, or form on Oak Street directly. Nothing. There is no evidence that he was there. Nobody saw him there. You're not going to hear any evidence about that. So you swore you would give him a fair shot, that you would judge him separately. That is your duty and responsibility. That's your job. It's my job to do this. Everybody has a job. It's your job to be responsible and bring that with you all through the trial. It's your job to do that. It's your duty to do it. That's what justice demands of us, all of us, the people of the United States of America. All of us. And I do believe that is all that Marcus Smart asked of you. the same thing you would ask of him if it was the other way around. So I believe once that happens, you will have no choice whatsoever. You will find him not guilty because that's your responsibility. Thank you.